News Today, opposition questions environmental bond at the Renel Bauxite site. 95.7% of Solomon Island businesses locally owned, new census reveals. Melanesian Brotherhood marks 100 years over the weekend. And coming up in sports, beach soccer challenge returns next month. Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa Osifelo. First up in the Bulletin, former Malaita Premier and current Malaita Provincial Assembly member for Ward 5, Danielle Suidani, has passed away at the National Referral Hospital in Honiara today, Tuesday, the 21st of October 2025. His death was confirmed today by his former political advisor, Census Talifilu. Suidani rose to national prominence as Premier of Malaita from 2019 to 2023 during a tense period in Solomon Islands politics. He was a vocal critic of the national government's 2019 decision to switch diplomatic ties from Taiwan to China, maintaining Malaita's close relationship with Taiwan and rejecting Chinese aid. In 2021, he travelled to Taiwan for medical treatment, sparking controversy over the province's continued ties with Taipei. He was later ousted in a no-confidence vote in 2023, widely seen as linked to his anti-China stance, and temporarily removed from the Assembly in a move overturned by the High Court. Despite setbacks, Suidani remained a prominent political figure, regaining his seat in 2024 elections. He was known for his strong advocacy for provincial autonomy, transparency and accountability. Tributes are being shared across Malaita and the nation, recognizing his leadership and dedication. Funeral details will be announced by his family and the Malaita provincial government. In Parliament today, Tuesday, Leader of Opposition and Member of Parliament for Alki-Langalanga, Matthew Wale, has raised a question to the Government and Ministry of Mines, Energy and Rural Electrification, seeking clarification if there is an environmental bond deposit made for the Renel Bauxite mining lease. Jeremy Gua reports.
Once again, questions are being raised on the floor of Parliament, but this time about whether environmental bond was ever paid by contractors and holders involved in the now closed Renel Island bauxite mining operation.
Even though there are specific provisions where require payment of an environmental bond. So to answer the question, Mr. Speaker, there has been no environmental bond paid in this sort of case.
The issue continues to resurface as communities on Renel says they feel ignored and unheard.
This is a terrible state of affairs. This is negligence of the worst kind. Unfortunately, Minister of Fisheries no stop, but he's been Minister for Mines for an extended period.
Mi had lo mi hem nam now. Hem had for Karina Minister for long time to masi me koko obam tiswan big neglect. So mi had for Karina also.
The fact that Minister Hemi say regulations under existing law can address this issue means it should have been addressed years ago.
Was an environmental or rehabilitation bond deposited to ensure post-mining restoration? So far, government responses have been clear that nothing has been done so far.
That there was nothing in place all these years. Me assume that the standard practice here, bond must go in here. But I have no go in here, you mean really the government has been negligent.
Opposition leader Matthew Wale recently visited Renel and described the situation as hopeless.
You go to Renel or West Renel and you see the holes that these guys have left there. Hey, my name is sorry something here. And to make matters worse, heavy equipment here, no more rust there.
Attention is now turning to the upcoming Mineral Resources Bill 2025, which the government says will include stronger safeguards and clear frameworks, especially on environmental protection and accountability.
Explicitly make reference to environmental bond and legal requirement that companies operators must pay now to avoid what we may already experiencing. So for the interim, we will have policy direction, we will have coming, and then in the long term into the future, we have the legislative reform program. We will make sure that environmental bond is a legal requirement by all operators and investors for this sector. Bogota must fulfill it.
The legacy of bauxite mining on Renel remains a clear signal as the country looks ahead to new legislation and the mining prospects. Jeremy Guao, Tavuli News.
Prime Minister Jeremiah Renel speaking last week at the launch of the National Development Strategy, NDS 2016 to 2035 medium-term review report and related documents emphasized the critical importance of the monitoring and evaluation system strengthening strategy. He noted that while much work remains, the strategy will play a vital role in shaping the country's development trajectory going forward.
We have not been effectively monitoring and evaluating NDS implementation. When we invest millions in a rural health program, do we know if it's reaching the villages that need it most? When we implement agricultural interventions, can we measure whether farmers' incomes are actually increasing? Too often, we find out years later when it's too late to adjust. The monitoring and evaluation strategy will help us take real-time course correction. If a project isn't working after 6 months, we will know immediately and fix it, not discover the failure 3 years later. As we know, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. The M&E strategy is a commitment that we will no longer accept. We hope it's working. We will know, and when we know, we can do better.
Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of National Planning and Development Coordination, Brian Langi, also explained that the new M&E strategy will enable real-time course correction.
But the real thing about the 10 years so far is you don't really have any progress because the performance framework for NDS are not really strong enough and not really got well-defined indicators, baselines and targets where I'm so helping me for tracking now how you mean perform. And then if you may not perform, then you should look back at indicators and say, oh, I think this one you may not really achieve, okay, you may adjust. Yeah? But what we find out is that in the absence of a strong and robust monitoring, evaluation and learning framework, and really make them hard for you for really talent. Now, oh, you may not do well here, you need to improve. So now, one of the key finding too about this one mid-term evaluation, NDS, and this one message strategy, and helping me for developing a stronger and robust monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework, so that you must really keep track and tell them story about what happened, using facts and figures, evidence-based, so that you must make a decision based on evidence. So when this one message strategy.
E-governance is the use of digital technology by governments to deliver services, share information and improve communication with citizens, businesses and other government agencies. It helps make public service more efficient, transparent and accessible. Minister for Public Service Francis Mocho Belande said the government is committed to making e-governance the way forward, especially in light of the upcoming Public Service Bill 2025. Speaking to Tavuli News, he emphasized that going forward, he would like to see e-governance adopted across all sectors of the public service.
Some of the services can be accessed online. I think this is the way forward. The world is moving very fast. I think we need to catch up when it comes to the e-governance things there. So the public service is also moving into that very soon. This year we got attending the public service UN Public Service Forum, and there was a lot of recommendation that we took back from that forum that I'm encouraging me for going to that, because with e-governance, people can easily access those services, the phone blogger or the computer blogger. So rather than go queuing up, waiting for submitting now application for passport, you can just lodge your application through here. So moving forward, I'd like to see more of that happening. I think that the key here is we need to provide the service, efficient service to our people. So it cuts down the cost, the time wasted just to queue up and even to follow up on what now people are submitting things for them. Yeah, so we can do this. So this is something I'd like to see more happening. And I'm sure some of this work will start very soon. We already get an approval from Cabinet for Mifala requesting help from United Nations. So Mifala, we already signed that letter and we'll send it out. We're hopeful to get a team from UN for coming this maybe November or December to start doing some scoping on how we can start developing this system.
Solomon Islands has released its first ever National Economic Establishment Census, revealing 22,567 businesses operating across the 9 provinces and Honiara. Conducted by the Solomon Islands National Statistics Office with World Bank support, the census offers a comprehensive view of the country's business landscape. One of the findings show that 95.7% of businesses are owned by Solomon Islanders, with 2.6% owned by Chinese nationals, highlighting their increasing economic role.
If you look at in our economy, it was like mainly dominated by the Chinese people. But these Chinese people, they are citizens. They are citizens within our country. Because of that, the data shows basically that there is a combination between the local business owner and so as plus the Chinese citizen people. So that's why you can easily see the trend. The trend is quite higher compared to the original foreigners companies.
The census covered all major business areas using 55 enumerators and 18 team leaders, recording both formal and informal businesses, technically and financially supported by the World Bank under the Capacity Building for Statistics and Audit project. The National Parliament of Solomon Islands marked a significant milestone in its digital transformation journey. Last week, an official handover of ICT equipment took place at the Port Tavuli complex. This project, under the Strengthening Legislative Capacity in Pacific Island Countries, funded by the Government of Japan and implemented by the United Nations Development Programme. Parliament Media and Communication supplied this story.
The National Parliament of Solomon Islands marked a significant milestone in its digital transformation journey with the official handover of ICT equipment under the Strengthening Legislature's Capacity in Pacific Island Countries SLEEP Phase 2 project. The ceremony was held at the Port Tavuli complex and attended by key dignitaries, including the Honourable Speaker Patson Oti, the chairpersons and members of the 10 Parliamentary Standing Select Committees, His Excellency Mr. Higuchi Keiichi, Ambassador of Japan, and Ms. Raluca Edon, the UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, funded by the Government of Japan and implemented by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. The SLEEP project supports 6 specific parliaments to modernize and strengthen their institutional capacity. This first handover includes 10 desktop computers and 1 server valued at approximately USD 13,000, which will be installed in the offices of the 10 Standing Select Committee chairpersons. In his remarks, the Honourable Speaker emphasized that the handover aligns with the Parliament's strategic plan, which prioritizes modernization, improved service delivery, and institutional strengthening. Ambassador Higuchi reinforced Japan's strong and enduring commitment to democratic governance in the region, noting that this is just the beginning.
Japan's commitment to strengthening democratic institutions in the Pacific, including Solomon Islands, is unwavering. The SLIP project is a cornerstone of this commitment, starting from the first phase in 2018 with a fund of $5.6 million and moving now through the second phase with a renewed investment of $6 million. Today's event directly supports a core objective of SLIP 2, the modernization and digital transformation of the corporations of Solomon Islands National Parliament.
Japan has committed an overall $6 million to SLIP Phase 2 and plans to provide further equipment in early 2026 based on an ICT development plan currently being finalized. The UNDP Deputy Resident Representative, Ms. Raluca Eden, echoed the importance of this initiative, stating, "Strong, modern, and inclusive parliaments are the cornerstone of resilient democracies." In closing the Clock to Parliament, Mr. Jefferson Halu highlighted upcoming phases of the digital transformation project. These include finalizing the ICT development plan, expanding digital infrastructure, launching an internal intranet system, and scaling up training programs to ensure Parliament is fully equipped to meet the demands of modern governance. The National Parliament extends its sincere gratitude to the Government of Japan, UNDP, and all stakeholders for their support and partnership in this shared mission to modernize parliamentary operations and strengthen democracy in Solomon Islands. Philemon Loy, National Parliament Media and Communications.
Over the weekend, the Melanesian Brotherhood marked its 100th anniversary this week, celebrating a century of faith, mission, and brotherhood since its founding in 1925 by Ini Kopuria of Koro Canal. The event began last Saturday with a float procession to Tabalia, followed by an opening Eucharist on Sunday. Brothers and delegates from across Melanesia, Australia, the Philippines, and the United Kingdom gathered to honor Melanesian Brotherhood's legacy of prayer, service, and peace building.
MBH has served humbly in the last 100 years, and it is fitting that such a celebration be accorded as an honor for the ministry, faith, vocation, and mission. It has touched countless lives globally through their prayers and ministry. Thousands have served MBH and are now former brothers, many of whom are here. MBH has produced saints, MBH has produced martyrs, MBH has produced leaders of communities and the governments and the church. HACOM is largely privileged to have the Melanesian Brotherhood, whose members serve humbly and always available in whatever circumstances. With such humility, MPH has gained considerable reputation globally. We hope this humility in mission and ministry will be generational in the next 100 years.
The program continues throughout the week with various activities, including training and a retreat for members of the Brotherhood. The celebration of the 100th anniversary will conclude this weekend. Moving on now to regional news. Rarotonga clinics are overwhelmed by a spike in flu-like illnesses, with symptoms including loss of taste, shortness of breath, and severe headaches. Health officials confirm the surge is due to seasonal viruses like influenza and respiratory viruses. Most cases don't need hospital care, and the public is urged to follow hygiene measures, avoid unnecessary ER visits, and get vaccinated. Severe symptoms, especially in vulnerable groups, should be treated urgently. Authorities continue to monitor the situation. A new report by Samoa's Ministry of Agriculture and the UN World Food Programme warns that many Samoans face serious health risks due to poor nutrition and the high cost of healthy food. Now, over 40% of households can't afford a nutritious diet, which costs 4 times more than a basic one. Now, the shift to processed imports is worsening the crisis with the rising obesity and non-communicable diseases. Officials call for affordable local food options, school meal programs, and community gardens to improve access to healthy diets.